Demid from Funbakers, and we're showcasing Silent Streets, a mobile detective adventure game with augmented reality features. The first episode has been out for 3 months now in App Store and Google Play, and we're here to present episode 2 of the game with the Apple Arcade features. So the proper augmented reality where you can walk around the bodies and inspect them for clues and search rooms and do stuff like that.
Augmented reality is very new in the gaming world.
Right.
I mean, I haven't seen as many people playing around with what you can do in augmented space as much as virtual reality, for instance.
Right.
So what kind of inspired you to make an augmented reality game?
There was a game for Nokia smartphones. Don't remember exactly the name of it. Released, say, 9 years ago, and my colleague Alex played that back in the time, and it was a geolocation adventure game with audio. Now that inspired the detective adventure game with augmented reality features, and we wanted walking to be a big part of that. And then the actual camera thing came in later, because we realized some existing augmented reality games were using that. For example, there are games like Spectrack where you look for ghosts and you walk around the city, but you also use your device to search for apparitions around you. So I thought, that might be a good idea. That would make sense for a detective game. And the reason why there are not so many games, I guess, is augmented reality obviously limits the settings and the themes that can be used in a game. Now, virtual reality is virtual. You can make a game about elves, about fantasy game, a science fiction game, a historical game, any kind of game. Now, for augmented reality, it's either zombies or like flying saucers or maybe ghosts. At least before. Now, with Apple Arcade, there are more possibilities.
When you say that there weren't as many different narratives, I guess, to play around with in augmented reality space,
right?
Do you think that making a game using AR has actually enhanced anything narratively throughout the gameplay process? Because I know that the narrative is quite a massive, pivotal aspect of this game.
As it is used in the first episode, as it has been out, I think augmented reality was more of a gimmick. But with the Apple AR kit, it's a much bigger thing because you can do the proper investigations. You can set up a room around you, or maybe a murder scene in the street, or a morgue scene, and actually, walk around the body and collect clues, or open drawers and cabinets and look inside and stuff like that. So that's way more meaningful, I would say, for a detective adventure game.
What do you feel your first episode was missing when you weren't using this new AR kit?
The technology, the older augmented reality technology is very simplistic. It doesn't recognize the surfaces. It doesn't recognize the depth. So basically, it's only relative position to the camera of the player, so to say. So, for example, we could, in the past, we could place an object in front of the player below the horizon level, or maybe somewhere, above the eye level or behind him. But that's it. The objects, there was no real positioning. There was no anchoring. Objects just hanging in the air. So it's not very believable. Even though we tried to mitigate that by using a black and white filter for the AR sequences, still it was, for some people we found it was breaking the immersion.
So this new AR kit is able to understand the scene around the person and map it better with using depth as well.
Sure, yeah, that's what's happening. Like there are about 15, 20 games now on App Store with augmented reality, and you can check them out. They do that quite well. As for the proper augmented reality, the good augmented reality, of course, currently it's limited to Apple AR Kit. Android has also announced the AR Core, which is the technology comparable to Apple AR Kit, but we haven't played with it yet. And from what I hear, some people say it's not as good as Apple AR Kit, which is just rumors. But for us, it does make sense to test it now because the device space is so much smaller. Like AR Core is available on Google Pixel and Samsung S8, and that's pretty much it. Galaxy S8, which is a very small device base compared to our AR kit based device base. You have iPhone 7, iPhone 8, iPhone 10, iPhone 6s, iPhone SE, iPad 2017. So there's a big device base, and most people will upgrade to an ARKit compatible device within a year. So you have it in your pocket.
So you say that there's only about 15 or so games, you said, in this using this new kit?
So far, maybe like they're appearing new games appear every day.
It's quite exciting that you're one of the first games then to really be playing around with this kit and trying to take AR very seriously in the gaming world. What kind of difficulties have you come across? Because this has also got to be, I imagine, quite difficult to develop with when not many other people are trying as much, so there won't be as many resources online.
Yeah, what's the challenges? Well, the technology, Apple ARKit technology is not perfect. So, for example, if the lighting is poor, or if the background doesn't have a pattern and it's just, all grey background, for example, it won't recognize the surfaces as good. If you look around the scene with your camera for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then you interact with the scene or place the objects in your real world, that gets much better. So if you use the proper tutorial to guide the player into using AR, it's not that bad.
And what's the developer community like around augmented reality? Because I feel like it's a lot smaller than VR. Do you guys kind of help each other out? Are there online communities where you share what you've found?
Not really. We're not part of it. I haven't seen any particular augmented reality development community there. Might be there, I don't know. There are pieces of advice available there and tutorials and forums, both on the Unity side and on Apple developer side. So
when you think of AR, I know it's still very fresh and a lot of people are still experimenting with it, but where would you personally like to see it heading in the future?
I'm just looking forward to more great examples of using AR in a way that actually makes good use of the surroundings, and where the player can actually interact with the objects in a good way. Like The Walking Dead Real World is coming out soon, and you will be able to shoot zombies around you in your real city or whatever. That's cool. I think that's a good example. Now there will be more. I'm pretty sure people will play a lot with the portals. If you go online, there will be a lot of demos for ARKit with portals where you can walk through the portal and virtually find yourself in a virtual world. And then you look around and then you turn back and you see the portal staying there and people in the streets still passing there, So you can get inside the portal and out of it and in a fully interactive way. So basically that means...
Is that currently in development? Or?
The Apple ARKit allows for that easy. So, that means, for example, you can put a portal in front of you on a sidewalk and then walk into the portal and find yourself on the same street, for example, with, knights going here and there and, a medieval town around you. Wouldn't be that cool? And maybe it can also use the geolocation to understand that you're maybe in London or in Birmingham, and then it will kind of understand what kind of surroundings to show you.
That's amazing, because that could be like Elizabeth Tear in Bioshock.
Sure, and you don't have a problem with a personal security problem, whatever. So you have the device in front of you. You're more or less aware of your surroundings. You're not wearing VR goggles, so you can really. I think it's okay. We heard stories of Pokemon Go and people getting in trouble, but.
Do you feel like it might be a bit more, a better way of immersing someone in a narrative then, rather than having them put this headset on and putting them in a world? You can bring a world to them.
Obviously, a headset is a stereoscopic kind of thing, so that's the best part of it. But then it's a limited thing. You need to carry something with you. Even Google Cardboard, you need to carry it with, and you need to have a big pocket to carry a Google Cardboard with you, which is very much limits the context of play, use case scenarios. So I don't think it's more immersive. It's probably as immersive. But that's a cool thing because everybody has a smartphone. and you can immerse yourself in any kind of narrative and any kind of virtual world in a cool way, and it's in your pocket 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely. It's more accessible. It's easier.
Yeah. It's 2 orders of magnitude more accessible than Microsoft HoloLens, for example. So.
I agree. Thank you very much. I'd just like to end on a question. Because I'm currently a student studying game development, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to anyone studying games or wanting to get into the game industry?
One piece of advice is, just study basic product marketing, I guess, because I think that's the part that many even experienced developers just miss in their work, and it starts from the product, know who you're building for, what exactly the audience is, who's the reference customer, what games they play, where they hang out, because then it will give you a clear idea of both game design and the road to the market. What publishers you're gonna approach with your game, which shows you will go to, which social media you will use, which press you will go to, etc., etc. It makes things so much easier.
Thank you very much. And if you can just quickly explain when the second episode of your game is going to be out, and where people can find more information on you and your game.
Right. You can find more information about the game on silent-streets.com. That's the website of the game. And the second episode will be out at the end of October. No fixed date yet. Along with the major update to episode 1. And it will have Apple AR Kit. So, happy playing.
Exciting. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.